cold outside today, and so we are going to make a wonderful type of chili that you may or may not have heard of. Do you like chili? If you do, stick around. You're going to love this. This is called Mexican chicken chili, and it's a recipe that a friend of mine gave me. It's her family's recipe, so she was kind enough to pass that along to me, and it's since become one of our family's favorite chili recipes. It's basically just like it sounds, Mexican flavors all in one chili. And the main meat for this is chicken. So I have I think 5 boneless, skinless chicken thighs in the pot with water, and it's going to boil until it can be shredded. In this pot, I'm going to add garlic. We're going to flavor our meat this way. So I don't skimp on the seasonings there. Don't need that one yet. I'm going to use garlic. We're going to use a little bit of chicken base, probably about 2 tablespoons full, because this is a large pot. Actually, I'm going to go 3. This is a large pot of water, so we want to make sure that we get all the flavor in there to flavor our food or our meat. Salt is next. And in this, don't be afraid to use the seasonings, because you're just going to pull that meat out of the water anyway. We're not using this water for our chili at all. We're just getting our meat cooked and ready to go. So I've got this pot on high. It is full of water and now full of seasonings and chicken. And what that's going to do is come up to a boil, and it's going to boil for probably, I'm going to let it go for at least 20 minutes, and then I'm going to check to make sure it's done. And then I'm going to take it out to shred it. While that goes, I'm going to start my beans. Beans are also, black beans are also a part of this chicken chili. So I have in here, normally I would just buy a can of seasoned black beans and then drain them and use them in the pot. But today I wanted to do something a little different, and I blended them up with and season them myself this time. So in here I have chili powder, probably about a teaspoon. I have a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. You know what? I actually think I have a 1/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper in here. We don't want to make it too spicy just yet. We have some garlic, about another teaspoon. I'm just using teaspoons in this because it's only going to season 1 can of beans, and we know that those are just 14.5 ounces. I also have some pepper, tahini, onion powder, and I believe that's it. I don't go crazy. And then I'm going to add a simple ingredient that I love. I'm going to add lime juice to this. I'm going to add the juice of 1 lime into the pot, and that way I can give it just a little bit of added flavor. I made these the other night and just started throwing a bunch of stuff in the pot, and you know what? It ended up being really, really, really good. So we're going to do this. And I'm just going to stir this around a little bit. Someone's coming in my door because that is just how things go around here. I'm going to stir this around, and I'm going to just incorporate everything. Turn it on to about medium heat, and we're just going to let these cook. Once they're done cooking and all those flavors come together inside of the beans, I am going to drain the beans off, and we're just going to use the bean. I'm going to roast some serrano chilies to add to the Mexican chicken chili. And I cut the stems off already. And I'm going to lightly drizzle them with a little bit of oil. I'm going to use canola oil. And then I'm going to just kind of roll them around a little bit to make sure that the oil gets all over the chili. In this recipe, it originally calls for jalapeno peppers. We like something a little bit spicier, so we use serranos. So in this case, I'm just going to use 2, where the normal recipe would call for about 2 to 3 jalapenos. So I'm going to use 2 serranos. And I am going to put this under the broiler and we're just going to let it char. And then we will turn them on the other side once they are black on one side. The beans did get done while I was cutting the stems off my serranos, so I'm going to go ahead and get those strained now. My strainer and my bowl. I don't need to save this liquid, but I also don't want this super hot liquid just going right down my sink. So I'm going to just drain it in this bowl. I can see all of the flavors, all of the seasoning on the beans. So I did what we were supposed to. I just know all of that flavor got incorporated. And a little bit more of it. Okay. And I'm just going to let these sit and drain while we wait on the chicken and the jalapenos. Okay. Oh, those are nice and blackened. So this is kind of what you're looking for. You can go a little darker if you want, but they're ready. So we're just going to turn them over. Hot. Oh, goodness gracious. These are almost ready. Stick them back in for just a few more minutes, and then we can make our salsa. Okay, the chicken is done, so I am taking this out of the pot now so it can sit and cool. And it's kind of already started to shred on its own. Kind of breaks apart as I pull it out, which is really awesome. As this cools, we're going to go ahead and get our salsa ready. And that should only take just a few minutes, and then we're ready to get our chili cooking. Okay, that is done. I am just going to set this pot aside so that it doesn't continue to heat. I want it to cool all the way down so I can dump it. Okay, one thing we want to do before we get our salsa started is we want to cut up our onion. Just need to cut it into thirds. So just one, make 2 cuts, thirds. 1, 2, 3. Great. Our serrano chilies are nice and charred. I have 1 large can, a 28-ounce can of tomatoes in here. This is going to be really simple. You don't have to use fresh tomatoes. You can actually use canned tomatoes and it's just fine. So we have these serranos in there. I'm going to go ahead and add the onion. And I'm going to do this in batches because you need a lot of salsa, but I don't have the biggest blender on earth, so I'm going to have to just do this in batches, which is okay. So I have the onion, a whole onion, 2 serranos, and 1 28-ounce can of tomatoes in the blender. I'm going to add cumin, and this is a lot of cumin, guys. But you know what? You don't need to be afraid to use the cumin in this recipe because cumin is like a huge, huge, huge part of it. So cumin, I have garlic powder, I have salt and pepper in here, and it's going to go right in. That's one thing my friend told me is do not be afraid to use the cumin. So we are not, Connor says yeah, so we are not going to be afraid to use the cumin. And we're just going to blend this until the onions are slightly chopped and the jalapenos, or serranos in this case, and I'm going to add some more tomato at that point. Okay. So I'm going to need to dump a little bit of this into a bowl so that I can make room for the rest of my tomatoes. And another can of tomatoes goes in. I only took about half of the salsa out. And I'm just going to continue to blend until all of my tomatoes are blended and all of my salsa is smooth. I am also going to add 1 more 28-ounce can of tomatoes after all this. So this will also be leaving the blender as well. that is what the salsa looks like when it's all said and done. You guys, this is a lot of salsa, but it's a lot of salsa, but this is going to be the basis for our chili. So now that this is done, I can go ahead and check the chicken and make sure that it's nice and cool. Once it's cool, I can go ahead and get it shredded, and we can get that browned up a little bit and get our chili started. Okay, I am about to shred my last piece of chicken. The rest of it's done, but before I do that, I want to go ahead and turn on my burner to about medium-high, and then I'm going to put some oil in it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to brown the chicken a little bit. So while that's heating up, we're just going to cut just going to shred the last piece of chicken here, and it's shredding really nicely. And then we're going to brown off our chicken. You may want to keep it in mind when you're shredding the chicken to not use like large pieces like this. You want to get them small enough because it's going to go on your spoon in your chicken, in your chili. Okay, all the chicken's been shredded. So now I'm just going to check my pan. It needs to heat up the oil just a little bit more, but it's getting there. We'll be ready in a minute. Okay, this oil is ready to go. I have all my great ingredients over here to put in the pan or the Dutch oven. So first we're going to start with our chicken. We're just going to brown it real quick in this hot pan. And we're going to use this one. Stir it around, get the chicken nice and mixed in that oil. And this will only take a second. The chicken is starting to brown now. And it's picked up all of that oil. So this is just about ready for the rest of the ingredients.
I can have that for a while.
Okay, so there's just a few more things we need to do before we're ready to bring this to a boil and then let it simmer for an hour. Yes, these flavors do have to come together, so we will be cooking it for about an hour. But you guys, it only takes just a few minutes to get all of these things prepared. And if you do them all at the same time, like roast your jalapenos or serranos, you know, boil your chicken, do your beans, it doesn't take very long once you're all done. It doesn't take very long to put together. So I'm going to go ahead and add all of these tomatoes right now. Okay, and then we're going to add 2 cups of water. And for this, I'm going to make chicken broth basically with chicken base. But if you have 2 cups of chicken broth that you want to use, you can use that instead. That's what the recipe actually calls for. And I just finished that. That's what the recipe calls for. Connor's over there playing with his pots and pans. I encourage cooking in this household. It's fun. And the last two ingredients are we're going to use corn. I'm going to use frozen corn today, but you can use a can of corn but drained. So I'm going to add that in. Connor wants to help. Do you want to help? Do you want to help? Would you like to put the beans in? Okay, let's get you situated to where you can put the beans in. Okay, Connor, hold the beans. Can you hold the beans? You want to eat one? Yes. No, I didn't think so. You want to dump them? Dump them in. Dump them in. Can you dump them? Can you dump them in? Yay! Good job. Oh, a couple more. All right. Good job. Yay! Say bye. Hey, say bye.
Bye.
No? Okay. Okay, now that Connor's done cooking, he said he would rather eat them than cook. I'm going to stir this together. And we're going to... Okay. We're going to get these all mixed together and then let it come to a boil. Once it does come to a boil, we're going to knock the heat down to about medium-low, let it simmer for about an hour, and then dinner will be ready. Alright, so this is now at a boil. I'm going to give it one final stir, and then I'm going to turn the heat down, put a lid on it, and let it cook for about an hour. And I want to just tell you guys real quick, I tasted this salsa. Oh my gosh. It was really flavorful and really good. I almost didn't want to put it in here. I almost just wanted to eat it with some chips. But it's dinner. Okay, you guys, we're almost through. We just have a couple of more minutes on the Mexican chicken chili. But while that's finishing up, I want to go ahead and heat up some tortillas. Tortillas are perfect dip inside of your Mexican chicken chili. Whenever I make beef chili with all the beans, I always put some sort of bread with it so I can dip it. And in this case, tortillas is my bread. So I preheated the oven to 350. It is still preheating. So we're going to put those in there and then those will cook while this is finishing up and then we're going to have dinner. Okay. The oven is preheated. I am just going to put foil wrapped tortillas. Flour. We're using flour tortillas. You can use corn tortillas if you like to. You can use flour if you want to. We're going to use the soft taco size. So that's going to cook for another probably about 5 minutes. But in the meantime, this is done. So we're going to turn the oven off. And I want to, oh, that looks good. Okay, you guys have to come in and see this. Okay. Okay, bear with me, but you're going with me. Look at that beautiful pot of Mexican chicken chili. I am so excited for you guys to try this at home. I'm excited to eat it because I'm going to tell you, this is one of our favorites. It's so good. And I'm just going to take my ladle. I'm going to give it a stir. Oh yeah, that consistency is lovely. Spraying it all over the place. Okay. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to put just a little bit in a bowl. Because this is going to be, oh, spraying this everywhere. Oh my gosh. This is exactly why I didn't wear white today. And here you have your bowl of Mexican chicken chili. I'm going to put, I cut up some cilantro earlier to garnish with. Gonna put a little bit on there, and remember you guys, the stems is where the flavor is at. So do not be afraid to use the stems, to eat the stems. Here you have it. Mexican chicken chili. Let's go, let's do this. And Connor's playing right now. There you have it. Mexican chicken chili. Okay, the tortillas just came out of the oven. And now I get to taste the Mexican chicken chili to make sure these are nice and hot. Is heat them up for about 5 minutes in the oven at like 350, and we will have nice hot tortillas. So real quick, before I even mess with that tortilla, I want to taste this. Get a little bit of everything. That bowl is really hot. Little chicken, little cilantro. It tastes so good. Oh my god. Mmm. Ooh. Mmm. Mmm. That cilantro, just, I mean, did it complete justice. It was the perfect garnish. The Serrano chili was the right choice. This is so good. It has a little bit of kick, but not too much, so you're not going to be like dying. This is so good. Those beans, I flavored those beans perfectly because they are just so good. You guys really need to try this. This is my friend's Mexican chicken chili. I'm making it for my family. You guys should make it for your family. It's so quick to get together. It does take an hour to cook, but hey, you know what? Low and slow builds flavor and makes everything taste better. You can keep this in an airtight container for about 7 days, or you can freeze it up to 3 months. Always, always, always serve it with whatever kind of tortillas you like, because who doesn't like to dip their bread in their chili? You know what I mean? Thanks, you guys, for joining me today while we made Mexican chicken chili. Thank you to my friend Cindy for providing me this recipe years ago. We love it. And you guys hit like, hit subscribe, so that way you get the most up-to-date recipes that I post. Thanks for joining me again today. Please, please, please let me know how it went if you make this Mexican chicken chili for your family. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Rachel's_kitchen_table, as well as Pinterest. Thanks, you guys. Bye.